Hey, baby. Hello. How's everybody doing? It's Thursday afternoon, and I've got a little window of time to come on here and start working on a project that some of you guys might have seen. If you're followers of me, you've seen where I posted this a few weeks back. And this is just now a time for me to start working on it. I don't have as much time as I like to do to hang out in my studio like I did. But anyway, if you do decide to hop on here, today, I would really appreciate you coming in and saying hi and, spread the love, all that good stuff, and tell me what's up. But I wanted to come on here and get a start on this funky lamp that's going to be a totem pole. And I tell you what, I'm like in this totem pole. Hold up, I'm going to try to pull myself up for a minute while anybody actually decides to join me and see myself, There we go. All right, I'm going to like, and I'm going to share it into the crafty bunch. Share the group. All right. All right, here we go. All right. So yeah, what I'm doing here, like I said, I hardly ever get a chance to really come on without doing an event in the crafty bunch, just on my own. So I wanted to take the time today. I got like an hour or so. I don't know how much time I'll spend on this, but I wanted to get a start on this thing. A while back, like I said, I had posted a little poll, like what you guys thought this might be, and what it should be, and coloring and all that. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and get a start on this lamp. Now, like I said, totems or totem poles, if you want to call them. I think a lot of people have this notion in their head that there are these like Native American kind of things. They are tall. They are a vertical structure, and they are something that are usually, I think totems initially, the history of totems are like they tell a story. But you know what? I am like totem crazy right now. I've been studying these things for a while, and I love outdoor stuff. And the ones that I'm going to make a series of these guys, not just this is the only one I'll probably do with a lamp, because I'm going to start using actual rods and putting on concrete and making some really tall ones. And I actually want to make that a thing for me, like in between doing all the other little things with you guys. That's something I'm going to try to promote and sell for myself, because they are very, I love mixed media, and mixed media of all kinds. And this is another one of those free-form ways that I can utilize my love of clay, but also utilize my love of working with mixed media, like mixed. Not, it's not even mixed media. I guess it's more abstract in a way, in a sense, because you can add so many different things onto this. But you see a couple people on here. Oh, that's me. I'm streaming into the Live Painting Sisterhood and my own page, and on the Crafty Bunch. So if you guys do catch me, I know it's a Thursday. There's not any events going on in the Crafty Bunch, but I'm just kind of taking a little time on my own to come in here and try to get a start on this. This one, like I said, was just a whim. I saw this little guy. I'm going to switch my camera over in a minute, but I saw this at a thrift store, Habitat for Humanity, and I thought, oh, this would be a nice little totem pole idea. I'm going to switch my camera over in a minute, but you got the harp up here, and I'm going to create something in the harp. I'm not exactly sure what, but I'm thinking of I was thinking Valentine's because hearts, but it's not going to be red or anything like that. It's either going to be that, or I'm thinking a bird. I keep thinking of a bird, but this is kind of like the beginning stage of how I'm going to work this up. And then as I start making some other totem poles, they can either be like smaller ones for tabletops inside. Polymer clay can actually go outside, which is kind of cool. It can get wet. So yeah, I'm like really excited about working with this and making some really funky, cool totem poles. So right now, I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and switch my camera over. My other camera, I've got it set up so you can see a little bit better view on my table, because this thing's really tall. Well, not super tall, but tall enough. All right, so let me do that, switch my camera over, and then we'll go ahead and get a little start on wrapping this thing up with the clay. So if you guys, oh, by the way, if you are catching me after the fact, you don't see the little live button up there in the corner, then you're watching the replay, and I appreciate you giving me a hashtag replay. And also, if you're not a follower of me, primarily I do work in clay. And if you don't know what I'm about, then go ahead and tap around my nose area, see the three little buttons in the corner, and go ahead and give me a follow, share me out, and all that good stuff. All right, so let me see. Did I switch the camera? It looks like I'm in the same view. I didn't even do it. Okay, hold on, guys. Here we go. This one. A little bit better. Okay. I think this is going to be a little bit better view. This is, like I said, I got a little extra camera set up here on my laptop. Okay, so like I said, this is a lamp. It was a lamp. I've taken all the insides out. I did a little video on that. You can see one of my older videos where I took out all the electronic wiring and stuff inside because I literally have to bake this polymer clay in the oven. And believe it or not, I did put this in my oven like diagonal, and it will just fit. Believe it or not, it's going to be interesting to bake it. But once I get all my elements on with the clay, and I'll probably end up baking this a couple times because I'm going to add to this as I go. But right now, today, I'm probably just going to go ahead and get the basics of the clay on here, and maybe I'll be able to cover the harp. Okay, so what am I doing? Well, I'm working with not three different, but two different colors of clay. The Craft Smart from Michaels. It's this guy here. Anybody ever interested in Craft Smart? It's an okay polymer clay to work with. I do mostly the hand building. I don't work with jewelry too much and that type of thing, but it's good for, basic and especially just starting out. But my favorite is this guy here. I've got a break over here. It's undone. I just got me some more the other day. This is my favorite, especially for doing hand building and things like that, because it is a firmer clay and it's easier to work with. And it rolls out thinner on the pasta maker and whatnot. Okay, so, all right, so here we go. I went ahead and took care of the prep work because like you can see, they come in these bricks, okay? And I wanted to roll, basically what you do is you condition it, you roll it out. You can do balls and figures like that, but in this case, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do what they call like a veneer. I'm just basically covering these glass globes here. Now this in between, like the little brass here and all this in here, I will end up painting this a different color. I don't think I'm going to put clay on these guys. I'm just going to paint them after everything's done and figure that out. I'm kind of winging it. I don't have a general idea of colors I'm doing, but it'll all kind of evolve as I do it. Okay, so I think, like I said, what I'm going to do these in kind of like earthy tones, brown, cream, and maybe a little that like a little blue aqua or something like that. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the brown on the bottom. Move this one over. This is my white. And you'll see how I'm going to end up covering these things up as I go. So here's my brown. Now I rolled it out. You can see it's pretty thin and it's kind of sticky. So once again, I always say that. I've got my cornstarch here. I use cornstarch to put a little bit on my fingers to help with that, because sometimes it's so sticky it's even hard to handle. All right, so let me go ahead. Oh, I am streaming into my YouTube, by the way. So if anybody's a YouTuber out there and you're watching me, yeah, give me a little hello. Give me a little like and subscribe if you want to. All right, so let me see. For this one, you know what? This is my very first one. I have ideas, but once again, there's so many different ways I can go. But I think I'm just going to go with a straight color on this one instead of putting a texture, because I normally think what I'll do is roll a texture on here or use my stencils, or you can do layers and different things like that. But for this very first one, I'm going to kind of keep it a little bit on the simple side, and then I'll play with it after that. I think I can sit down for this part. All right, so for the first one, what I'm doing is, like I said, I've got my piece here. So wrapping this thing around can be a little funky. And basically, if you guys can see, I'm kind of starting. This is like, I do these steampunk glasses and different things that I've wrapped or put around glass pieces. And so when you're doing that, you're just basically, let's see if I can turn this around. You see very enough. I've got it far away so that get a little bit closer here. So I'm trying to just basically keep it up as much as I can to the edge of that brass, and I'll end up having to manipulate it. The clay itself is very forgiving. It's very sticky. So, and it stretches. So you can work with it. And so when I'm working on doing like wrapping a anything that's got a cylinder or a circle effect, then you have to kind of work it a little bit. So I'm going to basically just getting that around there. And you can see I've got a little space going on in here. Okay. And I do want to cover that up. Technically, if you want to get real creative, a person could leave that open and you could paint it or leave it the way it is or do something really cool with it. But for now, I'm basically just going to, I'm wrapping this thing around, and I can see that I don't have it covered up all the way on the bottom. So I'll have to go around with my excess and do that as well. All right. So I'm going to take this here. If you guys can see, it's kind of like, I don't know what you see, like wrapping up. I always say it's like fondant. And like I said, I've never worked with fondant, but I've seen enough videos and stuff to know that it's basically like that. You roll out these sheets and then you just kind of put it on there. So like I said, I appreciate if anybody has any, if you're watching this on the replay, if you have any questions about the polymer clay or you want to learn more about it, I actually have a video series on how to get started with the polymer clay, and it's got a couple projects in there for you. So this one, like I said, it's my first one of a totem pole. And every time I do a project like this, like I said, I've been literally up at night, you know, like thinking about this in the middle of the night, like how I want to do it, because I get so inspired and I see so many really cool things on Pinterest and in other places. And so I'm like, I got to do my own. I got to do my own, guys. Anybody, any other creative out there like that? Where you just starting to get to the point where you see some idea. It's not necessarily your own idea, but you got to make it your own. You got, oh, I can do that, but I can create a little bit different. So yeah, so I'm just basically going around right now and creating that little covering. I'm just covering it. A couple things to keep in mind when you're working with this is, you know, when you're covering a surface like this, is you need to kind of work it down a little bit or work it around if it's a glass bowl or anything you're covering, because it needs to have try to get the air bubbles out of it as best as you can, because the air bubbles will cause it to have a bubble in it when it's baked, when you bake it. So you want to try to get that in there. And, you know, I'm probably going to have a little bit of marks in here, but it doesn't matter. I'll be able to smooth it out. If I want to smooth it out, I really about textures when it comes to clay. So depending on what I'm doing, I don't care about having a couple little handprints or things like that, because once I'm going to recover this, I think I'm going to cover it up with some other little elements once I get this part done. And then, yeah, you guys will see. It'll be really, really cool as I get done. I'm excited about these. Like I said, I've been trying to figure out, I love doing a lot of things with the clay. If anybody's ever watched me, you know, I always try to challenge myself with some of the events and trying to make things out of clay that other people make with other materials. But for the clay, for me, like I said, it's just, I love to do hand building. So that's, and I love three-dimensional. But I've always tried to think of something that I can do that might be like a real niche for me, you know, like a niche that I will do for a while and I can actually try to sell, maybe even at a market. There's a local market here in town, and I've never really wanted to get into it because I've done those before and they're a bit of a pill. But the totems, to me, even though there's, you know, people have seen them, that they're not that common. And I like to do things that are a little bit different. All right, so I've got this one. You see, I've still got this. Let me put my camera down a little bit. See how I've got this? It looks like chocolate, doesn't it? Matter of fact, we are going to have a event in the Crafty Bunch here in what is it? Next Wednesday, I think it is, and it is Create with the Color Chocolate. Anybody ever saw yesterday? As a matter of fact, they actually made chocolate items in their kitchen. I wasn't able to do that because I was working. I actually wasn't feeling too good yesterday, but it was pretty cool. So this looks like I'm just draping some chocolate over this thing. All right, now what I need to do is work it to the bottom. I might have to turn this so I can see it, guys, because I can't see it from this angle here. I've got it on my turnstile. Yeah, I've got a big gap right here. You guys can see that big gap. So I literally, basically, am just covering this up. Let me go as far down as I can with this part. Fill it down there. I'm just actually like doing this by feel. I'm kind of eyeballing a little bit. Every time I try to measure it and actually get a measurement to cut this out a little bit more like consistent, so it's a little bit closer to the shape, it just never works for me. So I just make it sort of close to the shape, and then I go cut my areas out, and then I work them from there. At least that's how I do it. There might be a more professional way to do it. And, if you're using ceramic clay works a little differently. It's a little heavier. You could actually make an entire ball if you wanted to. Or that's usually probably what they do with the ceramic clay is make an entire ball. Oh, golly, I'm going to take this call. Well, all right, guys, I can't pause this, but I'm going to go ahead and take a call real quick. Hey, I'm doing a live right now, but I just called to say. All right, bye-bye. All right, that was my hubby. Just said hi real quick in case there's any emergencies. I always like to say hi to him because he's on the road a lot, and I never know what's going to happen to him. So I'm always trying to look out for him. Anyway, so I'm putting this around here. I'm just draping it the best I can. Like I said, it's hard for me to see the underneath. You know what? Maybe I should turn it over like backwards, upside down. So you guys are getting my first. Let me cut this little excess off here. I don't need that part to in my way. The first viewing of me doing this. I've done this, like I said, with glasses and wine glasses and bowls and whatnot. So I'm familiar with wrapping things. Don't get me wrong on that one. But it's just this globe part here because it's kind of hidden under there. I mean, it's hard to get to. And when I do the other totem poles, they're going to be with individual rods, and I will have the circles. You don't have to do just globe circles. You can do squares, rectangles. You can do all kinds of really cool things with the totems. And I will do them individually. I will make the pieces individually, and then I will have my holes in the center. So I'll be able to just basically slide them on the pole once I'm done. And so it'll be a lot easier to work with. So this one's a little bit more of a challenge, but I'm always up for a challenge. Everybody knows me. I like to challenge myself a little bit with stuff. All right, can I see that part down there? Let's see, it's getting on my nerves. All right, I still got a little hole. I need to cut some off here. You kind of feel it. And I work with the X-Acto blades and the what you call it, the tissue blade knives. You can even work with a butter knife. It's pretty warm. You guys can see I'm in Florida and I've got a tank top on. It's 80 degrees. So when it's a little warmer, the clay's a little softer. And so sometimes it gets a little sticky on you. That doesn't bother me either. So it's kind of a, Thursdays are kind of maybe an odd day to come on because I know some people do have events on Thursdays in other groups. But for me, it's one of my days off from work, and it's one of the few times I have to actually do anything on my own. So here I am. Here I am working by myself, and maybe somebody will catch this later, be able to see what the heck's going on here. All right, I'm just going to cut up that. Once I get past this first one, because it's low, I think the other ones will be a little bit easier because they're higher and I'll be able to see it better. This one's giving me a little bit of a pain in the rear. Just once I get that, because I'm trying to make it as clean as possible going around that brass piece on the bottom. You guys can kind of, let me see, get up the camera. It's even awkward to show on the camera. So I'm trying to get it up real close to that piece down in the bottom there, so it looks real clean. And like I said, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on smoothing this out. For now, I think I'll just go ahead and cover all three pieces, and then start adding the detail to it, because it's not just gonna be this, you know, it's gonna have some funky little textures and details. I might even consider doing a cutout on one of these. I'm playing around with that idea. What the heck is that? Something in there. So to smooth it out, there's a couple things you can do. You can actually take the cornstarch, which I find is one of the best methods. I just put a little dab on my fingers and then just try to work it that way. And you can smooth it. It smooths out pretty good with the cornstarch. All right, so I do have my first one. And you can rub, rub, rub if you want it to get it like super smooth like that. And then it kind of helps too, because it helps find those little air pockets. And if you do have an air pocket on this thing, then, or anything you're wrapping like this, you can take, like I said, I just take my X-Acto knife or whatever, and you just poke a hole, and it just kind of works that, and you kind of work it out. So just poke a little hole and work it out. Okay. Yeah, the cornstarch is the best way I found. If you're doing something flat, like if you got like a mug or something, I got to do some of those steampunk mugs for an order. My cousin, she's actually ordering some mugs from me, because her hubby was the one that came up with the idea for that. But anyway, those are a bigger surface, and you could actually take a piece of like paper and just burnish it a little bit and kind of clean them up that way. But I honestly find that this is the best method right here. It's just continually just work it and smooth it. But I don't care about it being perfectly smooth. Like I said, number one, usually most of these are going to have texture, and I'm planning on putting little things. I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably take another color of clay and put some little circle, make some kind of like a barnacle looking thing or something, or add, I don't know. I haven't really, like I said, I haven't decided. I've got a lot of ideas. It's just a matter of, you know, winging it and kind of going with it and see. All right, so that's pretty good for my first one. I do have to play around with that bottom a little bit more, but for the sake of time, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'll finish that up later. All right. I notice that this thing too, it's a little loose in here. Like I said, this is the first time using a lamp to make it into a totem pole. It's got a little bit of wiggle room, but I don't know. I don't think that's really going to bother me too much. When it comes time for me to bake this, and then I'll end up painting these guys, it'll be hard at that point, and I'll probably tape off. Maybe I'll do another live when I start doing the painting. I'll probably end up doing it like it's in stages. I'll make a live as I go along with this thing. Come on, Kim. I just kind of get that a little bit better in there. All right. So, okay. All right. So we got the first one on. Okay. Now, let's see. I think the next one, I'm going to move this brown over here because I might integrate some of the other colors in there. Excuse me. I got to take a drink. I have a hiatal hernia, which drives me nuts. It causes my throat to be very irritated. Okay, so next one here, I'm going to be using this guy. This is so much better as far as working with it. This is that Super Sculpey. It's firmer, much easier to work with. Even though this one's a little sticky in itself too. I'm going to add a little cornstarch, because the cornstarch just helps to keep them from sticking to your hands, and it makes it a little easier to work with. I don't think I got anybody watching me right now. Okay. Anyway, that's fine too. Let me push my button here. Push my button. Push my button. Where's my comments? I can see myself. My chat. Okay. All right, here I am. Anyway, like I said, here comes the next one. So this one might be a little bit easier to do, because like I said, this clay is more easier to work with. Okay, so what I'm doing, same process, is I'm just kind of gathering it up and putting it as close so I can get to that little brass piece up there. And then I think what I'll probably end up doing with this one is cutting. Usually kind of cut it a little bit. Anybody ever like done any kind of upholstery or work with fabric, or sometimes you have to cut when you're doing the edges, you have to cut those little pieces, those little sections out to make it fit. Same concept with doing with the clay when you're covering something. See, this is so much more forgiving. Oh my God, this clay is amazing compared to the other stuff. That's why I love it so much. But this particular clay, this Super Sculpey, only comes in a few colors. You can get it in gray. I usually just get the beige because I end up painting it most of the time. But yeah, it does come in gray. Oh, excuse me, guys. Dang, that was loud. If anybody heard that. My she shed or my studio has an oak tree right above it, and the darn thing is losing some of the acorns or branches, and the darn scares the crap out of me because I have a tin roof. So that's why you hear me banging noises or hear me hollering. You'll know what's up with that. Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to get that pull over and I do stretch it a little bit, but I don't want to stretch it too much because I can actually create a little hole in the piece as well. Okay, so once again, you can see the process where I'm at. Okay, I'm basically working that around. I think I'll bring this piece up a little bit more, do a little cutout. Have to basically kind of like cut a little V section out and then match them together. The clay being sticky like this, sometimes it's a little pain to cut it straight, but like I said, that's one thing forgiving about it is it does work itself out. You can smooth it, make it pretty, and this stuff smooths so nicely. This particular clay is used a lot for making dolls. It's actually called Living Doll. That's one of the names of this Sculpey clay. It's called Living Doll. And of course, this is a beige tone for fair-skinned people, but like I said, it's very paintable. And I do see some air pockets, so I'm trying to work those out. If I can't seem to work them out, then that's when I'll do the little hole poking, poke the hole, poke a little hole, and trying to make that. Yeah, this one's kind of big. I'm just going to poke a hole in that one, work that down. Okay. Like I said, if anybody watches this after the fact, since I don't have anybody on here right now watching me real time, really appreciate you giving me a hashtag replay and sharing this out to other people so they can see, because this is something really cool. Seriously, this is going to be really cool. How many people do you know that have turned a lamp into a totem pole? Maybe, I mean, I know I've actually seen people, it was kind of a thing for a bit. I don't know if it's still a trending thing where you would take various dishes and bowls and you could build something. And, I thought those are pretty cool. I've always liked sculpture and funky things like that. So those kind of captured my attention as well, but I never did make one. But like I said, since I'm Miss Clayhead now, I wanted to be able to do them in clay, because just about every one of these totem poles I've seen on Pinterest are all done in ceramic clay. So to doing it in polymer, I figured why not? Because polymer is a durable clay once it's baked. I created last year. I did instead of dragging that. Sometimes the clay, when you cut it, it'll drag and it'll kind of pull it. To save that from happening, if you have a butter knife, you can use it too, but I like using these little tissue blades, and I can just go along like that. And I'm kind of cutting it along the line because it makes it so it's not so draggy, and it matches up my seams better. Hey, Lena, how are you, girl? I'm just hopping on here. I've actually got a little bit of time today because I got a day off from work, and how rare do I ever have time to do anything like this on my own. I'm working on this. I'm creating a totem pole from a lamp. I put that out a couple of weeks ago. This lamp that I got from the Habitat for Humanity. And so I'm having a chance to actually get in here. I've been obsessing over this thing for weeks. Like, I can't wait to get to it. So today I actually have a little window of time to kind of start working on it. Basically what I'm doing is I'm covering the globes with the clay, and then I'm going to add a bunch of elements onto that and make it really funky and cool. How you doing, girl? What you up to? what you up to. It looks like it's just you and me right now. Like I said, Thursdays are like the only day recently. We got to start doing our Thursday nights. I mean, Thursdays. I know you said you can't really do Thursdays for doing the live paint certificate thing, but it's probably going to be a daytime day that I can do. Nights are just hard for me because I got too many things going on in my hubby and all that at nighttime. Getting ready for work. Oh, see, yeah, see, everybody's got those different schedules, so I get you. I know how it is. Yeah, right now I think I'm probably just going to try to cover these, and then I might, depending on my time, I might play with it and put some other elements on it. But I tell you, it's going to be freaking cool. What I was saying before is that I'm going to start making a series of these, not with lamps. This is the only one I'm going to do with this lamp, and I figured since I got the lamp, I'll go ahead and figure it out, finish this out. But I'm going to do a whole bunch of garden totems and some small ones for tabletop. And you guys will be seeing me lives, but I'm going to do them like with actual poles that I put in concrete or plaster if they're tabletop, and or even wood. You can do a wood base for the base, and then I can make the pieces individually, put a hole, and then just slide them on there. So it'll be a lot. This one's actually a little bit more challenging because it's all assembled together. I didn't want to take it apart because I thought it would be a pain in the rear to try to take it, put it back together. So I'm actually going to bake the whole thing in the oven like this. So it did fit. I tested it in my oven and it does work. All right. So right now, I mean, you can understand this because I know you sew when you're like draping. This is kind of like draping a, something like recovering a chair or something. You have to kind of work it around and get that drape, especially when it's a curved surface. It can be a little bit of a interesting procedure to get that. So I'm having to cut, your little slits here to make it so it falls into place and drapes right. So I counted you guys for a few minutes last night. I wasn't feeling too good. I ended up having like a little low-grade fever or something. I don't know what got to me. I feel fine now, but I don't know. I just had to sleep it off. But I did pop on and say hi, but I just wasn't feeling like myself. I got up today and walked and slept good, and so here I am. Yeah. Anyway. I'm having to like work this in a little bit, but I just want to get this part covered up. This is not really the most exciting thing to watch. It's more exciting when you start seeing the other little pieces come on here and make it more decorative. This is just kind of like the basic work of it, or whatever you want to call it. What time do you have to go to work, Linda? You're doing tutoring, right? Is that what you're doing these days? I got to thinking I should have asked Terry or some of the other girls if they wanted to come on and hang out and do something Thursday afternoon. I didn't think about that. I just figured I'd just wing it and start doing this, but we should start planning the Thursday soon. So I think I'm going to be able to have that time. Even today, I have to go out and take one of my clients to get a haircut in a couple hours. So 2:30, yeah, tutoring. Do you like that? I know, I didn't, dodo me. I guess I could actually see if she wants to hop on. I should get with her messenger and see if she wants to hop on real quick. I don't know. I probably got about 30 more minutes. All right, like I said, this is not the most exciting thing to see right here, but it's still part of the procedure, and I thought anybody that wanted to actually see how you do the draping part, because whenever I do the the wine glasses and the beer mugs and things like that, it's the same process. You got to put that little, you got to drape them first. You get that first layer on, and then once you get your first layer on, that's when you can do the fun stuff, the really fun stuff. And this one is a bit of a pill because it's hard for me to see underneath that darn thing. I'm trying to get it butted up right up against that brass piece. I have to turn it upside down like I did the other one. Kids are cute. Oh, yeah. Okay. What grade? Is it the same grades that you were doing before? Come on now. This one's going to pain in my butt. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever do another one with a lamp. It's going to be so much easier when I do the other ones because, like I said, I'll be able to create like individual pieces with and just put a hole in it and just slide them on the pole. It'll be so much easier. I like your your steampunk. Yeah, I know. I mean, I honestly love it, but I don't own anything steampunk. I haven't made anything steampunk for myself. Not that I wouldn't put a little something in there, but the mugs and stuff are kind of fun to have. But it's just, what, interesting too. I know a lot of people are about, Tim Holtz and they use a lot of his products. I don't really look at a lot of other crafters or creatives, but I ended up going to looking at his YouTube channel for something, and lo and behold, if he wasn't doing a lot of his things like steampunk style, I'm like, oh, look at that. I don't know if he was the one that was, since he's kind of popular, if he sort of started that whole trend. I know steampunk's been around a while. If he made it a little bit more mainstream, I'm not sure. But I got to take this little piece off too. See that big old chunk right there? I got to cut that down. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm fairly trendy, huh? I like the industrial look of it, but like I said, for as far as my house goes or anything like that, I could have, like I said, a mug or one of the wine glasses or something like that in there to be cool. But maybe a cool piece on the wall, depending on what it is. But, all right. I'm gonna have to go back and kind of clean that up on the bottom. I'm not worried about it too much though, because once I get all the other elements on here and get it textured up, it'll look pretty cool. You won't be able to tell. K through 12, but I mostly work with K4. Okay. And are you basically tutoring every subject or what? I bet it's a lot easier than actually being there day to day in the school system itself and going through all that. Are you private tutoring, or are you working through an agency or the school, or how's that working? Yeah, I got to work on that bottom piece, but I'm not going to fiddle with that now. I can do that off camera. All right, so there's the second one. Wasn't that just exciting to watch? All right, I probably should have done 2 of them off camera and then done the last one live. That way it wouldn't have been so tedious to watch, but I figured what the hell, I needed to go on and get a little live time anyway. Gotta go. Okay. All right, girlfriend. Enjoy your day, and I'll catch you later. Thank you for popping in. So for any of you guys that might be watching this later on, and you did notice Lena, she's one of my crafting buddies from another group, and we have a group of ladies that do live painting sisterhood. And I think I am streaming into there, so duh. But for those that don't know that, it's a Facebook group, and it's a group of ladies, sometimes me, not as much as I used to, but her and Terry and Terry Woodhams and a couple other people, they go in there and do that. Actually, you know what? I got a little time. Let me see if Terry wants to pop in here and message her and she's just interested. Where's she at? Terry. Yeah, there she is. Why's my thumb not working? Messenger. I don't know. You're not going to let me do it now? Maybe it won't let me chat while I'm live. I don't know. What it is. Anyway, I'll just have to catch her another day. I thought Terry Woodhams might want to come on and join me for a little bit. All right. Anyway, so there's 2. That's the second one. Okay. Now, I'll probably have to work a couple of air bubbles out on that. And here's another little trick hack that I like to do. Sometimes if you have a little edge It might not be like if you want to be like super pretty and clean. I know you guys can't see up here, but you know, you can get that a lot cleaner and smoother if you want. But if there is a little area that's not quite, it's a little rough and you want it to look a little bit more finished, you could take a little piece of clay and create like a little design around it, like a little piping, or you know, cut a little sliver or put like little dots or something like. Take another piece of clay and kind of cover that area, and that takes care of those boogers. Plus, it looks cool. It looks cool to do that. Okay, so like I said, not too bad for a second one. It's bugging me on the bottom, but like I said, nobody really see that, but it's to my eye, yes, I will see it. Okay, now let's go with the white one on top. Oh, this white one's going to be interesting because it's that sticky clay, like Craftsmart clay. This one's not as long. This one would probably be easier for you guys to see too, because it's the top one. Then, if I get to this point, I'll probably, once I get this one covered, I'll show you how I'm going to do the heart. Basically, I'm just going to cover it with aluminum foil, and I don't have any clay ready for that, so I might not do that part, but we'll see. I'll kind of just play it by ear. All right, so that's two. All right, so now, like I said, they're not going to be all this color. I'm going to paint this one like a clay tone. I've got, and I probably paint as much as I can before I do it because I like to paint it on so it bakes into the clay, especially if it's going to be something that's outside. I want it to be more durable. And not that these have to be outside. You can totally have these in your house or wherever, or a covered patio. But anyway, I think I'm going to go with the clay tone with this. We'll see. Like I said, I don't have all my colors worked out, but I basically know that I wanted to make it kind of earth tones with a little bit of a blue, either slate or aqua, that kind of thing. All right, here I go with number 3. Yeah, this one. It's already giving me a pain in my side. I'm going to stand up for this one here. Okay. So there we go. Basically draping it around the top, trying to get that edge there. Like, yeah, this one's a lot easier for you guys to see in the camera too. All right, this one's got a little rip in it. Sometimes they do rip when your clay's thin, and I made this clay a little bit on the thinner side, but I ain't stressing over it. I'll get it worked out. All right, so I'm going to cut this little part out right here, like I did before. Look, that's exactly. Hey, Terry. I was just talking to Elena, and I was saying that why didn't I ask you to come on with me? You're more than welcome. I still got about 30 minutes if you want to hop on and work on anything and create. It's a Thursday afternoon. I didn't even think about it. I just thought, oh, I got like a little window of time, but you're more than welcome to pop on and say hey and paint or whatever, or not, or just say hi. But yeah, it is. It's basically, like I said, it's like working with fondant. I've never even worked with fondant, but I've watched enough videos on it to know that it's like basically the same. Very, very similar. All right. This clay too can be like super sticky sometimes, drive me nuts. Yeah. So right now what I'm doing is just covering this. This piece is like super thin. Is covering this up to make it into a totem. And as I was explaining before, that totems, I think a lot of people have these notions, especially, you live out west, you understand probably about Indian totems and Native American totems and how they, they're about telling stories. But honestly, I discovered like just totems that are super cool, like just really fun and abstract. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so neat. I think they're neat. I love the vertical structure of them. So yeah, I'm going to start making a whole series of different types of totems. And I'll probably do some totems, some smaller ones. As a matter of fact, I do have a Crafty Bunch event where I'm going to make a smaller totem that I've had sitting around forever. Work that up. But there's so much you can do with them, really, honestly. Yeah, this stuff is crazy sticky. All right, so I've got this one spot here I got to cover up. And it's going to be interesting because it's going to give me a pain in the rear. Pull it up here. I did have it cut a little bit of a like a U shape before, and I'm using my tissue blade because I want it to. If you use the X-Acto, it kind of drags the clay and it makes it a little bit harder to to work with. I mean, you can use the X-Acto, but it's a little cleaner cut when you use your tissue blade. Just got to be careful not to cut yourself. And that way you can kind of work it in and press it in and get your seams. That was a very clean cut seam. Honestly, it was just throwing it up there, but you can just work all that in because I'm going to be covering all this with different designs and textures and stuff when I get done. This is, I was saying before, it's just kind of the boring part. Okay. And just go around and get that last little bit up there. So this time I am using the X-Acto. You guys can't see, but I'm using the X-Acto like that and just cutting that piece off. Just kind of patching it together. It's pretty much what I'm doing. And when you patch it together, like I said, it's because it's so stretchy and forgiving, it does work pretty good that way because you can, you know, you just work it back in. Get nice and clean. One thing I like to use when I'm making my edges, like really, is these little silicone tips. I like my flat one the best. That way it kind of pushes it up there. And you can actually smooth these with these too. Another thing that works really good for smoothing the clay are like these, I guess this is a stylus, but these are big ones, these little ball guys. They work super well too, depending on what you're doing. I mean, for small work, you can kind of work it in and smooth it. But it just depends on what you're doing. But honestly, the fingers work best as far as I'm concerned with the cornstarch, and that gets it pretty smooth once you get it on there. Like I said, if I can't work the holes out, not the holes, but the air pockets, work them down a little bit like that as you're doing it, then you can put that little hole in there and get that air pocket out of there and just kind of work it up. All right, so let's see, how much clay do I need to take off here? I'll just this is easier. So cut that little section off. Okay, so what I did, like you can see, I cut a little section off. Like I said, I'm just kind of piecing it together. That's a little thin, so I can actually work the clay over that. I had it rolled out pretty consistent, but as I put it on here, it kind of stretched a bit. And some of the areas are a little thinner than others. But once again, that doesn't bother me because if I overlay it, I can make it a little thicker. And or when I put my other elements on top, you won't ever know. It'll just blend right in. And since you're not being able to see the inside of this or anything, if it's a little thinner in some spots, it's not a huge deal. It'll stay on there. But you don't want it to be super thin because you want it to be, durable enough to like hold up against the weather conditions and whatnot. All right, so here comes the bottom part. This is a bit of a pill. This right here. Oh, I'm not able to see my comments, and maybe because you guys are on the Live Painting Sisterhood, and I'm in my group. Okay. Anyway, I am over in the Crafty Bunch too, but everybody must be out and about today. They got lived out after the last 2 days in the Crafty doing the kitchen soups and making their chocolates. Okay, push that down. I haven't really decided what textures I'm going to go with on there, what I'm going to do. Like I said, I've got a zillion and one ideas. I always have a zillion and one ideas when it comes to this stuff, and I just have to start just saying, okay, Kim, just do it. Just do it, and work it out later. So I got about 15 minutes. I said I don't expect anybody to watch me do all this part because it's not the most exciting thing to look at. But at least you get to see the boring process. Like I said, this is not the fun part for me. The fun part is when it comes when you start adding all your elements on there. Then it makes it cool. Okay. So I'm going to at least try to get this part done so I can do that heart top and show you that. The top. How I plan on putting that together. Dang it, this is like really super thin here. I'm going to cut this whole section out. I might just cut the whole part off and just add to it. I think I'm going to do that. This is like, so you see what I got going on here? I've got this much done, but I've got a really thin part where it's stretched on me. So I'll overlay it a little bit here, but I need to put a little extra on there. I'll overlay a little extra on there and kind of fill that in. This stuff is very stretchy. So people would think like, why do you like to mess with this stuff? With being such a pain. It's really not a pain. Like I said, it's just, you know, you got to get to the basics. It's like prepping a canvas. You know, you got to paint. You got to do a little prepping. Might not take as long, you know, getting your gesso on or whatever you're going to do. You know, not everybody uses that to prep, but, you know, getting ready. If you're doing a paint party, you got to preset your images and all that. There's always a little bit of prep work, you know, basic work involved when you start doing a piece of art or craft or something like that. So got to get that part out of the way, and then you can get to the fun stuff. All right, so I've got a little section on the bottoms here. I need to, you guys can see that bottom area there. 2 little areas over there I need to finish up. I'm just going to cut the pieces, I think. Let's see. Work those in. Let's see, I'll do it this way because that's got a little bit more of a curve on it, and I can just cut that out. So what I'm doing, like I said, is I'm just putting it up there and trying to match it the best I can to the cutout section. I'm not worried, like I said, if it's a little bit different. I mean, I want it to overlap, but it's not going to be the exact shape, and that's fine too. So I'll just work it in with the clay, make it look like a solid ball piece. But I don't want it to be too much in one section because it'll look really bulky. You have to kind of, this isn't the sharpest blade. I'm going to get the sharp X-Acto. That's one of my problems. That's not even the X-Acto. That's a clay. Oh, this is much better. Yeah, it does help to have a sharp blade, guys. All right. Let me take that little section off there. Okay. Oh boy. If I was watching me do this, I'd be fast forwarding and it to the end. I would not want to be watching me do this. Not this part. The next one I do with this will be much more exciting. All right, because I definitely won't be working. I'll be working this up a little bit more and getting it a little bit smoother. Because I mean, it's kind of rough right now. You might not be able to see that on the camera, but I can see it in my eye. And so I want to get that a little bit prettier. Let's see. I'm going to cut this like that. Well, this is the last piece, guys. The last little piece. That's got a big old air bubble in that one. Right here. All right, yes, last piece is on. Now I just got to work it. I know. Yeah, I mean, you can, you know, think about it, Terry. If this was, once I could just bake it like this, and then you can just paint all over the darn things. Think about it this too. You could take the clay, make some balls, and then just paint on the balls too. Yeah. You want to just do the painting. But you know me, I'm gonna add a lot of little textured elements on here with the clay. But I would have some painting in the process too. All right. Well, I definitely have to work on getting that a little bit smoother. But oh my God, at least it's on. Wait a minute, I got one little section down here that's kind of a pearl. I shouldn't worry about it. Maybe I'll just put some piping on that. As I was saying earlier, if you got a little area that's a little bit funky, like it's not very clean, sometimes I take like another piece of clay and kind of finish it out on the ends, so it looks, you don't have to mess with trying to get it as perfect as it should be. Okay, I can see a little Mars and all that kind of thing. But look, oh my gosh, I did it. I got the three. I got 1, 2, 3 on there. Okay, so I got that part. Now I'm gonna see. Like I said, I've never done this before, but I think it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I'm going to put my camera up, and we're going to work on that harp top part right there. I'm going to leave these flat pieces out because I'll probably end up using them for something. Okay, so how am I going to do this? Let me stand up. Here's the harp. I'm in my studio. You guys see my chicken in the background there? I still love that chicken. I haven't even sold it because I love it so much. I don't know if anybody want to pay me what I think it's worth. But he's cute. I mean, you remember that, Terry, that chicken? The glasses and whatnot. Okay, and so I got the chicken on one side, and I've actually got my goat on the other. This aluminum foil. This is like the cheese bar aluminum too from the Dollar Tree, so it might not be the best to use. And I don't even think I got enough of it, to tell you the truth. I really probably, when I start making these, the bigger, better ones, or different ones, I'll be using like the really heavy duty Reynolds aluminum foil, because it's heavier and it works better and it holds up shape better for doing armatures, because that's basically what I'm doing, is I'm making an armature. So this is like really cheese ball. I just get this stuff if I'm doing small pieces. And I hardly have any left, so I'm not even going to have enough to do this. All right, let me just take this one little section off. So the idea here is, let me see what you say. Wasn't that chicken? It was one of our first. Yeah, I did it on a LPS thing. So I'm just covering it. I'm just covering this section with the aluminum foil, because I want to be able to cover this as a solid piece of clay. And I don't have to do this like this, but it takes up some of my space, so I don't have to use as much clay for starters. And it just kind of gives it a little bit of an armature to work the clay on, so it's not so floppy. And there's that little bitty, where your lampshade goes, is that little screw on top. I am leaving that because I want to finish it off with like a little, little ball or something kind of cute. I can't decide what to do in this area. I keep thinking bird, like a couple of birds on each side. I was also thinking about a cross. I was thinking about like a heart. But if anybody has any ideas of what I should put in this one, yeah, give me some ideas on that. A flower, this one's kind of odd for a flower shape, honestly. I was thinking, unless I did more like a tulip or something, but I want to do one, I'll finish one off with a sunflower. That's what's kind of cool about these totems, is that the totems themselves can be very creative, because once you put your elements on there, it's kind of like anything that you want to create. You can do birdhouses and little figures and critters and whatever you want, and you just add them to the totem and make them like that. So for me personally, it satisfies a lot of my creative brain, because I can still create my little fun things that add it on a totem. You can do like the stacked chickens, your little farmhouse animals, all that kind of stuff. But it's in that vertical totem form, which I think is so cool. I'm just wrapping this around at this point. Maybe this will be enough aluminum foil after all. Now I want to try to get this fairly smooth. I'm working it. But I think I'm going to put a little bit of that heavier duty on here too, because this is super thin. Maybe it just went out on my other phone device, but that don't matter. Oops. You know what? And another thing I can even do, it's kind of cool, is if it doesn't stay together, I use masking tape to hold it down. Like sometimes to tape my aluminum pieces, and anything that you can, like I said, bake at 275 degrees. You can, and it's paper, You know, so you can actually use masking tape. I wouldn't use clear tape because it's more plastic, but the masking tape is paper. So, because like I said, this whole thing's got to go in my darn oven and be baked. That will be interesting. I should show a video on how I'm going to actually put it in the oven when I get it. Oh, put a little bit of masking tape and I'll find some tape here. I got a little blue tape here. So, like I said, I'll do this, but I'm going to put another, I have to, like I said, get some other aluminum foil today when I go out and grab. Actually, you know what? If I tape the whole thing up, I might be good. I could just do it all in tape, have it done. Oh, so it won't be a lamp. Oh, no, no, no. It's an art piece. This is not a lamp anymore. It's not going to be a lamp. It's a decorative. Now, the way I initially saw them is like garden totems for outside, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, you know, you can do them for inside your house and just sit it on a table. This one's kind of large for a table, but maybe not. It depends on the size of your house and what you got going on. So, yeah, it's supposed to be more like just an art piece, a decorative art piece. So yeah, I think I'm just going to use the tape. I don't even have to have any more aluminum foil. I need to go get me some more tape. So I'm running low on tape. So yeah, that's my whole concept, is to doing them for either inside, outside. That's why I'm using the polymer clay. If you were doing, like if you wanted to be strictly inside, you could use air dry clay and or a foam clay or something like that, because they're not going to be outside in the elements. But the polymer clay does hold up to the elements, so that's kind of cool. And I know this, I've actually done a test. I mean, I know it will anyway, because I actually have some things that I get wet with polymer clay, and a soap dish, and actually in my shower that is like, gets really nasty and soapy all over, but it still looks the same. Once you clean it up, it looks the same. All right, so let me finish that up at the top. But yeah, so I just discovered something. I can just use the tape. The tape to me is a little cleaner. But see, then what I'm going to do is I'll just be able to put the clay right over top of this. But I don't know. I don't know what to finish it off with. I don't know what to make this. I don't know what to put in here. I'm going to put something really kind of cool. And I'm probably going to, you know, I'll age it down a little bit as I paint it. Decorative. It's definitely a work in process. So, once, see, nobody would ever know the wiser when you get all that clay on top of it. They're not going to know that it's aluminum and tape underneath there. Because the clay, another thing too about it, you know, because it's so durable for outside, it'll be, you know, it'll protect all this, so it won't get this wet on the inside, because it's going to be a solid piece that's covered up. But yeah, what I was saying is, I don't know if anybody, or if you remember, Terry, I did the succulent. I did a big rock with succulents on it, and I literally have that sitting outside my door, and it's been through all the storms in Florida last year, and it sat out in the sun, and I wanted to kind of test it and see how it held up. And it, I mean, it got a little dirt on it, but I just rinsed it off, and it was fine. And it looks just like I just did it still. So it's being a little bit dirty from the elements. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Give me some. I just have to think of ideas what I want to put up here. What kind of, I can put just about anything. I thought that I'd like to do one as a gift for my church, and do a really nice one, like a tall one, and give it to them as a gift and put a cross on top of it. I thought that'd be really cool. But it take a little time, so that'll be one down the road. Yeah, this is, like I said, what I mentioned earlier in the video, is I'm going to start making a whole series of these. Besides doing the little things I do live, I'm going to start making these to be able to actually, like, you know, sell them at markets, or, you know, on my Etsy, and maybe make this like one of my niche things to sell. Yeah. And I think they'll turn out pretty good. I actually have a vertical totem, I guess you'd call it, that's made out of I guess I could show that on my camera someday. That's made, there we go. It's covered up nice now, huh? All right, see, now that I got that covered up, it's made out of what do you call it? A piece of fencing, wood fencing, plastic wood fencing that's hollow inside, like white. And I surfaced it down and painted it up, and it's sitting right outside my studio. I'll take a picture maybe and post it. But that thing went through Hurricane Michael. I mean, it fell down, but it has weathered many storms, and it still looks pretty decent. Oh, that's my 2 o'clock. Stop. My 2 o'clock buzzer. All right, I'm gonna have to get out of here because I have to go. I have to go take one of my clients to get her hair cut. But yeah. So anyway, but the totems I think are really cool, and they don't have to be for outside. They can be for inside too. Maybe I'll start a trend in the crafty world if I start doing totems. I don't know. Probably not. But it works for me. Okay, so yeah, there we go. That is the start of the totem. Like I said, this part here, I will sandwich another piece of clay on top of this. And after I sandwich that clay and cover this, it's called veneering really, and you cover all that up, then I'll put another element on top of that. Like I said, I don't know. I keep thinking bird. I guess maybe I'll do a bird, the shape, unless I can come up with another shape or something. And then, yeah, and then we'll work all the fun details. So hopefully that by the next live that I do with this guy, well, not hopefully, I'll be able to do some really fun things, show you how I'm going to decorate it up and do all that. All right, well, if anybody actually does take the time to run through this and fast forward, you'll see the end. But, catch me on the replay. And thanks, Terry, for hanging out. And I'll see you guys soon. I don't exactly know when I'll get to this, but hopefully it'll be soon. Bye. See you later.